And welcome to tonight's guest. It's Bob Duffy. There we go. You can now wave.
Hey, Mark, how you doing?
The people can see you. There we go.
Hey.
Should we tweet? No one watching yet. Should we tweet that you're on live?
Yes,
Yeah, let's do that.
Hordes of people can start sort of tuning in now.
Well, quite a lot of people were watching Prathy at lunchtime. That was the highest viewing, and obviously not many people are watching, but that was 50 just on YouTube, and that doesn't include because I'm multicasting to Twitter, YouTube, Facebook, Periscope, LinkedIn, Twitch, and then you got to add all the figures up from those, and they're not huge, but they would add up.
Right. Yeah.
Right. Go on. Let's just see. Live with at Bob Duffy.
I should have had sort of Twitter running so I could be like, that's fantastic. I've got to get in.
Live with Bob Duffy. Really live this time, and then I need to put in the link from YouTube.
It's not recorded at all.
Oh, there's a delay. Oh, what? Well, this is recorded. Oh, and the reason why I did the time thing is, not seeing it up on YouTube. Oh, we've got one concurrent. Wait a minute. Well, one viewer, but no data.
Oh.
YouTube. What I don't have is I don't have a studio set up. This is just my normal desk. So I have to move everything around and then I have to reset everything up.
So I love the wall in the background. Is that actually a fictitious sort of background? Or you just sort of whitewashed it behind you?
It is fictitious. If I go to, if I show you main cam, and then I do, I can't really show you. You see, it's all black. There's a green screen behind me.
Very fancy. Very, very, very fancy.
Well,
very fancy.
I like your background because it's much easier to maintain.
Yeah.
I
don't have to actually do anything. Yeah.
I have to light this thing, and that's not fun. For some reason, it's for goodness sake, why is it coming up with? All right, so goodness. Do you ever realise when you're just not very good at something? Yeah, no, we are live. It's just streaming in the wrong channel.
Okay. Oh well, that's close enough.
All right, I'm copying the link. Copy, and then it will get tweeted. Tweet.
Yeah, I can see in your sort of picture on sort of Twitter, you had a lot more hair a few weeks ago.
Well, actually, that was longer than a few weeks ago. That's kind of that was when we used to. That's probably about 10 years ago. Used to live in Southampton, and there's a kind of where we got married. There was kind of a nice wall.
Mm.
You know when you have a photographer and there's a nice wall.
Yeah.
It
makes you stand by next to it for about an hour, right?
Yeah. Can you just look into the distance? MVs. Can I use MVP Buzz? All right, I've just tweeted the link out.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
All right, we've got one person on the YouTubes who is probably my mum. All right.
Oh no, I've just got Ben replied saying I'm watching. He's our one person watching. Yeah, actually, I like that Ben guy. I wasn't going to say anything bad against him, you know.
Live on the streams with Bob Duffy. So what I've worked out is that you need a producer.
Yes.
To do all this while you're Welcome to Geeks on Screen with Coffee. Today's guest is, I'm trying to get that right because, oh, come on. It's Bob Duffy. There we go.
Excellent.
Hello, Bob. And what are you drinking today?
I am drinking out of my Sequel Bits mug some tea, and I'm hoping I got a order in with a gin and tonic on my wife if it managed to reach that far. What the hell is that?
That's a Redgate mug.
Ah, very good. Oh, yeah, Redgate in the City. Yes.
That's quite old, isn't it?
Yeah, very good. Like all sequel consultants, I reckon we could probably open a cupboard and have about 20, 30 cups from various events, right?
I do, when I go to Sequel Bits, don't tell Simon, I do try and make sure I get at least 2 mugs.
Yeah.
So kind of, you can actually see the Sequel Bits, which ones I've been to from the mugs in the cupboard.
Yeah, we have actually perfected the art of bringing sort of socks and sort of padding the socks.
And just to let you know, Kieran and myself are watching it in the kitchen.
Oh, I did. You're going to bring this?
Facebook.
Are you going to bring this gin and tonic?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, so
sorry.
There's 2 more people who are watching it.
Take 2.
That's 3 in total.
You see, now, yeah, so the figures that I'm getting back off the live stream say that one person was watching it on Facebook and now it's gone down. So I think it's all nonsense. There's lots of people watching us, Bob.
Okay,
and
good.
You are live on
Let's go.
channel Geeks on Screens with Coffee. Why did I pick such a stupid name?
Sure, why not?
Please keep the swearing to off English. So
Right.
Swear in any other language, I think, is a general thing.
Right, I say like frack.
Yes. Yeah, well, that's not even... Well, feck, wouldn't that be the...
Yeah, that's sort of Irish. I can say feck and I can call you an Egypt, right? And then no one have a bogging clue what I mean, right?
Are you allowed to use those terms and not be called a racist?
I am, because I've been here so long. I can have an English accent and I can say things like "it's grand," and it confuses the hell out of people because they're like, English people don't say that.
No, well, you've been there so long, you're sort of naturalised, aren't you?
Yeah. I'm coming up for 27 years, I think, in Ireland. And about sort of 19 in England and 4 in Scotland. Yeah, so a few.
Yes, because Duffy is a Scottish name, isn't it? Or
kind of. There is the Macduff clan owned. Do you know the Island Donan Castle where the Highlander film was set? Where they've got this like roadway that kind of goes onto it.
Yeah.
That was owned by the Macduffs there. But actually, it's Northern Ireland it comes from. It's sort of Monaghan.
Oh, okay. So, do you want to just briefly introduce yourself for the people for the 1 or 2 people who don't know who you are?
Okay. Yeah. My name's Bob. I'm a data geek on the Data Geek coffee meeting. I'm MVP, MCM, MCA, Signal Ranger, Maestro, and all-round geek.
Can you still use those phrases, even though the programs don't exist?
Well, the MCM is a bit. There was a whole big thing about Robert. Do you know Robert who passed away? Sequel soldier. Yeah. He was a pioneer behind a tattoo of MCM for life. There was an agreement with the learning program that it would be a lifelong certification, actually, even when it was retired. But this year, everyone who's a gold partner found out that it doesn't apply for anything anymore.
Oh, no. Well,
no, yeah.
It's an honorary.
Yeah, so it's very much an honorary thing that nobody really knows what it means. And even fewer people have heard of kind of Sickle Ranger or anything like that. Like, that's well in the distant past,
Well, I'm only vaguely aware. That was MCM before it was MCM.
No, that was MCA. So the MCM was the certified master. So that's like a technical qualification. The MCA is a chartered architect, and Sickle Ranger was basically that. So in the old days, you could go to sit it, and if you pass the technical qualification, you got an MCM. If you pass that plus the architectural, you got an MCA. But the take up on the MCA was so low because it was fierce expensive, and it was 6 weeks. So it wasn't. Yeah, it wasn't that high of a take up. So I think in the end they got about 25 or 26 people pass it, and the failure rate was horrific because it was all interviews and soft skills. So you basically got all these nerds who were put in front of a board and asked to speak to a CEO, and they were like, you know. So yeah, it was interesting. Yeah.
It's. Should we take a moment of silence to in respect for the MCM?
And a moment of silence for some friends that I have who sat the entire program, and it retired the week before they were supposed to sit the exam.
Oh!
Finton, this one's for you.
Is that a fish in there, or is that ice?
No. It's just ice and
lemon. That's what it is.
Yeah.
I thought you were drinking goldfish.
No. Yeah, that'd be a bit weird, right? Yeah.
My only claim to fame was I managed to pass the theory exam. For the MCM.
Very good. So all you needed is just the lab, which is a bit of a doddle, right?
Oh yeah. Well, it took 6 or so. I did it when it was announced the program was going to end, and I thought, well, all right, I'll take a punt. So what I'll do is I'll take the exam, which was I think £500.
Right. Yeah. It wasn't cheap.
And then depending on the result, then I'll book the practical. No point booking the practical, and then and if I fail the exam, I'm just not going to do the practical because I had to do it before the end of the year, and it was like September or something.
Right.
6 weeks it took to get the result back. 6 weeks. And then it was just
if you need a reset, that's a long time to wait. So if you got any questions on mirroring and how many threads are involved in Enterprise Edition versus Standard Edition, it was me who set that.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I helped set some of the questions on that one. Yeah.
It's like, which trace flag number do you need for this effect?
Yeah, well, in the very early days, they had stupid questions like that because they invited one of the top CSS engineers to write some of the questions, and he put a lot of undocumented trace flags and stuff like that on the paper. And it's like the failure rate was like bush,
It's a shame because I can understand. I guess for a bit of background, the MCM you had to do, was it 3 weeks in Redmond? Residential?
It was 3 or 4. Like it varied sort of program to program, and then you could stay on if you wanted to do the review board for the MCA. Yeah.
Oh, okay. But it was like, I can't remember. It was like 8. Was it 20 grand or something? It was really expensive. Might even be more than that.
It was. I mean, some people could get their companies to pay for them, but for sort of people who are consultants, it wasn't the 20 grand. I mean, imagine 6 weeks lost kind of billable time from your company. So I was very lucky. I worked at Microsoft at the time, and I just finished I think a 1.5-year project where I'd worked ridiculous hours, and I was like, you fracking owe me. And I managed to swing it,
Well, that's pretty cool, and because obviously that's expenses paid, isn't it, in Seattle?
Yeah, I mean, I would have paid for it myself though, because as having worked in SQL for 15 or 17 years, just the experience of, and bear in mind, I mean, we have easy access now to Brent Ozer, Paul Randall, Kimberly Tripp. In 2007 and 8, there was no access to that level of training, and the only way I'd get it was to fly over to Redmond, So it was an opportunity of a lifetime. But people nowadays can consume that sort of content on sort of plural sites. They're like, it's going to waste money.
Well, you can probably still get the Paul Randall. So the Paul Randall, Kimberly Tripp, and who else did the videos? There was like 28 MCM videos, and I remember watching those.
Yeah. There were, yes. So there was a bit of a push on some of the MCMs to make some of the videos, but I think Paul Randall did like the lion's share. He was cranking them out, you know, and I'm sure Joe Sack did some as well, because he was the sort of PM of the MCM program for a while, like, you know, as was kind of Sickle Soldier was for a while as well.
So I think somebody else did the development ones, so the ones on XML and something else. So, you know, anything to do with pages, extents, that was all Paul Randall. So you know, I have that voice. The amount of times I listened to those videos and watched them and had them playing in the car, just the audio version, as I was driving around. Lots of hours of stuff. It's
great stuff to sort of geek out on, like when you're on site and you're chatting to the local DBA and he starts going sort of deeper, you're like, I'll just whap out my Paul Randall level knowledge of Oh, actually, I don't have a Paul Randall level kind of knowledge. I'll throw in a couple of keywords, you know, SCAM. There's obviously SCAM contention by this trace flag. You know?
Yes. Oh, and then now you just go, oh, that's trace flag 4199 there. That turns on all the 21, whatever the other trace flags. What? Do you know, I haven't touched we can go back to that. How are you? And how's your lockdown going? Because that's why we're here, just for a chat.
I was I was actually emailing Steph Locke earlier today, and we had a brief exchange and the usual kind of how was the lockdown and stuff like that. And I was like, I'm secretly enjoying it, but I'm not supposed to admit that. You know, I feel a bit sort of guilty, right? Because I don't have to sort of travel to work. Introverts to unite and all that, like, you know, I don't have to make excuses for not going to large sort of gatherings or anything like that, right? So it's actually it's really good, and I was wondering if I could write a petition to get it extended by a few more things. Now, some of the kids are going a bit stir crazy, like our eldest. I don't know if you read, in Ireland they had all the leaving certs cancelled. So they've all, which is good and bad because he hasn't got to sit, but now he's got nothing to do until a sort of college. So he went from being really, really busy to having months of not as much, you know.
So what have you got him doing? Have you got him like learning technical stuff or building websites?
But have you tried telling a 17-year-old kind of what he's going to be doing in his daily schedule?
No. I struggle with my 13-year-old.
Yeah. So I'm sure there's stuff to sort of fill the time. And we're playing a lot more board games. So we're playing like a game called Gloomhaven at the moment. I promised them I'd sort of dust down the sort of Dungeons and Dragons. We've actually converted the sort of office at home into a PC gaming thing in the evening. So like it's sequel development in day, and I was playing Dungeon Defenders with some of the mid-level ones in the evening, you know.
Dungeon, I don't think I've heard of that. I mean, I haven't played games.
Dungeon Defenders, it's a classic. Yeah.
Defenders. No. When you say classic, that's Gauntlet and Double Dragon to me. You know.
No, not quite that old. That is like retro, right?
Yeah. No, Doom.
Dungeon Defenders 1 was about 2006, but it was like a 4-player co-op sort of tower defense type game, and you play like a mage or a knight, and you basically build sort of traps and beat the bejesus out of monsters for sort of levels and stuff like that. But yeah, it's quite good.
Dungeon Defenders. All right. What? So is that on a PC? Is that on a console?
Yeah, you can play it on the PC. So the brand new version, which was just released a short while ago, is PC only at the moment, which is Dungeons Avengers Awakened. But the original game is Xbox 360, PlayStation, and stuff like that.
Oh, okay.
Now, if you've got an Xbox One, they have a Dungeon Defenders 2. That's crap. nobody plays that.
But I could get the 360 version and play it on the.
Oh yeah. So we have got Xbox Ones, and I find our kids all sitting in front of the Xbox 360.
Oh, are you not going?
Just because all of the sort of classic games have more of a there's more couch sort of co-op games that are sort of better on the 360 at the moment. Like there's some sort of classics like that only work on the 360, like, you know.
Oh, okay. But they can play it on the One in the emulator mode or whatever. Oh, does it not work?
No, no. Some games, yes, you can. Other games, you get errors and it's not supported, or it's like, you know, add a token that actually doesn't exist anymore. And no. So this is one of those.
Oh, all right. Okay, so we won't be playing that. We've got an Xbox One, and it was sitting idle for months and months and months. And so now the girls are playing Fortnite on it.
Wow.
And
also,
Tasty
Minecraft, at your girls' age, are they into Minecraft? That's a big thing, you know.
We went through a whole Minecraft phase quite a while ago, and my oldest, child one, as she's sometimes affectionately known, was playing Minecraft on that. But right. I was playing it on the Mac. I quite liked it, but I haven't played it very much since Microsoft bought it and sort of changed it.
Yeah. That was a while ago. Yeah. Like our kids played it when it first came out, and oh man, it caused me a fierce amount of trouble because I think one of our youngest boys came home and he's like, "Dad, I've got to have a server set up." So I had to set up a server in Azure, and I know nothing about sort of Linux, so I was having to install sort of Linux. And then he's straight into mods. He's like, "Oh man, I need sort of mods installed." And so I was having to do all this, you know, the cutting and pasting of jars and editing of random files. I eventually got it working, and he's like, "Yeah. Well, my friends want to join it now, but they can't get an account because they got to get an email, and the parents don't know how to work email." So it reached one point where one of his friends came around and he was crying. He was like, "Oh, I can't play the game." And I was like, "Well, have your parents knocked it up?" And he goes, "Yeah, but my dad can't find the email." So I was like, "Tell me your dad's username and password." And the kid's like, blah, blah, blah. So I logged into his dad's account, got the account and clicked it. There's like a button of click here to sort of confirm. And I clicked it and he got in. And then the next day I went into school and there was a queue of kids with actually tenors who queued up to me asking me if I could get them a Minecraft account. So he was there in the schoolyard and I got this sort of coat on and these little 9 and 10-year-olds was trying to hand me a tenner. And I'm like, oh my God.
I'm lucky there's no guard around. Otherwise you would have been, "Who's that dodgy bloke? The kids are buying drugs off him."
Yeah, that might have looked a bit bad now. Yeah, for sure.
I went through the same phase of having to set up Minecraft servers, but I did it all on Windows.
Okay. Yeah. There was I don't know if it's just the time I did it or the flavor I did it, or I was playing around with it anyway. But I've luckily they've sort of moved on and they're mainly on the Xbox on the Minecraft now, which is a lot easier. Just sort of click play.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah, it was like constantly, "Oh, there's this mod. Oh, there's this mod. Can we put this mod on?" Yeah, okay. "Can we have this mod?" No, because that's incompatible with that mod. Okay. And then I was doing all this research, you know, and can our friends play on it? Okay. Right, now I've got to set up tunneling through the router. Okay, yes, now we've exposed that port. Yeah.
I do feel a bit bad in that probably some of my MSDN credits probably got burned playing Minecraft as opposed to what they're supposed to be used for, you know?
Well, it's for educational purposes. Minecraft is a Microsoft product, and you were learning how to set up Unix machines. Linux machine. Perfectly.
Yeah.
We were going to go back to what's been good about the lockdown? You said you feel a bit guilty about kind of enjoying it.
I'm like half enjoying it. Like I don't have to travel to work. I don't have as many in-person kind of meetings, and anytime and I can do a meeting, and I can hit the mute button, and then I go away and do other things, right? And if I don't like what they're saying, I got this button as well. It just says button.
Yeah.
So I push that now in meetings, and I can actually get more done, and can sort of lounge around at home, it's pretty cool.
So do you work from home normally, or have you got an office?
No. Actually, office is about a mile down the road. So it wouldn't be that far. But the problem is, being consultant and project work, we don't like. So Becky, who does all our office admin, so she sort of joined our company, and I was like, there's about 10 people in there, and she said, "Oh, great. So how many people are going to be in the office?" And I was like, "No one except for you," because everyone's on customer side, right?
Yeah,
everyone's on customer side. If everyone's back in the office, probably Carmen will probably walk in and go, "Who's billing?"
Yeah.
It's probably the same in kind of. Are you still working for Microsoft? Did you join Microsoft as CSS? Yeah. But you're sort of still there, so you've probably completely changed then as well, right?
Well, I was a PFE for almost 2 years, and now I'm in another team, and we're part of engineering, and I do Synapse. So,
right.
What was Azure SQL Data Warehouse that's now Synapse SQL Pools and Synapse.
So you're supporting the 2 customers who have it, right?
Shut your mouth. I am so busy. Well, with POCs, helping customers out. I think I counted the other day. I had 11 different meetings with different customers. And they're all doing different things with it. I was hoping for a bit of a break,
Right.
I thought people would be off work and they'd be taking it easy, but no, it's been the reverse.
Right. Wow. And do you reckon that's going to eventually overtake SMP, or is it, or is it just that a lot of your customers just have huge volumes of data that makes them a bit more leaning towards it?
No, we'll always need SMP. So, I mean, I was chatting with a customer, they were a charity, and it was just like, well, your data isn't big enough. You've not got enough. You're not doing, you either need to do lots of processing, so you need to scale out, or you need huge volumes of data to make it worth doing. So, go with SQLDB, or go with Mongo, or go with maybe not managed instance because that's still quite expensive. But you go with another option that will save you a bit of money, and then when you've got enough data, then migrate over to us. No, there's lots of people picking it up, and since the announcement about Synapse. So you aware of the Synapse preview, the workspaces, the portal? Yeah. So there's a lot of interest in that. So with the Spark pools and SQL on demand, I think we're going to see a lot of customers. I've done a couple of demos and a couple of presentations on that, and people go, "Wow!" They go, "You can do all this."
Yeah.
And
I was I don't know if it was it definitely was an NDA because it was a public event. So, but one of the PMs was sort of chatting about the roadmap and the future, and there was a dream of just having a SQL DB offering, and there was a slide up or slide along bar for how you sort of scale it, because one of the problems is people see it as quite sort of federated at the moment. Like there's lots of SQL-like offerings, but there's not just one,
Yeah, so we have that discussion all the time, and I think as in my previous role, there was a lot more where you go, the customer says, what shall I use? And you're going, well, how big is your data? How often are you accessing it? What kind of queries are you running? And they just want to go, well, I don't care. I'll just put it in a database, and this I didn't have to worry about this with my on-prem. And so with SQLDB, you can scale it all the way up to a certain point, and then it's a different product. So there would be some lovely nirvana to go, right, well, we could just scale it up and then scale it even further into MPP. But I don't think we're there yet for that.
No,
but
no,
it would
a few years away.
It would be nice, because there was talk of, I remember reading something, because it was public, about serverless.
Yes.
So the idea for serverless SQL.
Actually, it's serverless a dream. Like, we can have our entire solution and not have a single OS.
But that was supposed to scale from the tiniest up to the massive. And I don't remember where that sort of went, but it all went sort of quiet, and I think it's supposed to be small scale.
I was at a conference. Do you know the Global Azure conferences? And they had, I don't know if it was on an expert panel or something, but they had basically, it wasn't really a data conference, because they had ops, Azure infrastructure, system center. They had a lot of developer tracks. So they said, sugar, we need like a data guy. So Bob, kind of used to it, and here this conversation kind of came up, and it was like, you'd be crazy to not go 100% serverless kind of nowadays. Isn't that true? And everyone's like, yep. But it came to me, and I'm a sort of data guy, and I was like, there's a lot of workloads that you won't quite achieve that dream on, And the shock from all the other speakers, they were like, "Shut him up, quick!"
I know. He's not selling he's not pulling the company line.
Yeah.
So the SQL on demand, the serverless thing that's in Synapse preview, that's really cool. But I think people need to get their head around the idea that I don't think people got that they don't actually spin a cluster, or even like you do with Spark, where you define the size of the cluster, and then when you run a query, it will then spin the cluster up. That it is complete at the moment. I mean, I don't know if it's going to change. Honestly, I don't know if it's going to. It's not like I'm pretending that I don't know. But when you run the query, it spins up a cluster in the background, which because it's got to run on a machine, it executes. But you don't specify the size of that cluster. So and I don't know whether we will be able to go, oh, that will run on a big or small, or whether we'll just keep that, or whether we in the background are doing something clever where we're saying, well, the estimate of that needs to be on a big machine, and we'll run it on a bigger machine. I don't know what's happening in the background, but you
it's all abstracted.
You hit go and it just executes, which is magical. But you can't then tune it in the same way you would if you provisioned, a machine and you wanted queries to run even faster. You can scale it up. You can have more, RAM. You can materialize views. You can do all sorts of clever stuff to make data warehouse go faster.
Yeah. And I think although a lot of the old school tuners are sort of dying out now, but the guys who would know Windows hardware backwards, and they're looking at threads on the server, and they're looking at RAM allocations, and they're looking at IOPS at the disk level and disk latency. Those sort of skills and metrics. I mean, they don't really convert quite as well. No, I mean, it's still got sort of logical IOPS, but the concept of individual disk latencies and threads, gone.
Well, we call that CSS. If it's doing stuff and we need to know what it's doing at a hardware level, then it's got to go to them, because we don't have access to the machines. We have access to the service, and if something wonky is happening behind the scenes that you don't know, you've got to go to them and say, is there something funny going on, or is this behaving?
And it's same customer as well. You have no idea as to what's going on at the kind of level. But then I have to say, hats off to them. They're we run a lot of kind of SQL VMs in Azure, say, and we have a performance issue, and we log a ticket, and they're very honest. I was expecting us to phone up and they go, no problem last night at 7 o'clock. But you do actually get back, oh, no, yeah, I can see a problem. And, that hardware node was shut down. It was moved to another node and you may have had a minor bleep in your service, And, I've been very impressed with the level of sort of transparency because I'm not very sort of trusting of vendors and sort of truth coming out of root sort of diagnostics,
I think, yeah. Well, I think that we have to be that honest because otherwise you lose that credibility. And, just by going, it was a sunspot. Yeah, that used to be my favourite, when it was something you couldn't predict, you didn't know what happened. Yeah. There was a earth tremor somewhere. Or just we don't know. It's not necessarily a great answer, but if it's an honest answer, and we can dig into it. But our telemetry. I can't remember when you left Microsoft how mature Azure was at the time.
Oh, it wasn't even invented then. It was 2008. No, it was nearly invented. Do you remember Red Dog as it was called then?
Well, the name rings a bell. Yeah.
Yes, but in the early incantation, it was just basically you could publish, you could spin up a VM to publish .NET code on, and that was known as Red Dog, and that was like the V0.1 of Azure. But if you look to what's available now, you wouldn't recognize it. It wasn't. It was very much a forerunner,
Well, there've been several fabric changes. That sounds posh for massive hardware changes and the way stuff works.
Yeah, and it's actually sort of usable now.
It's pretty good. I use it for all sorts of stuff. And and Microsoft as well use it for everything. We certainly do eat our own dog food.
Yeah, it's a great kind of revenue kind of model as well. Like I always joke at Microsoft, I say it's like a gym, right? They make 8% out of their money out of members who don't turn up, right? So the amount of customers who just leave 24-core servers running 24/7. And you go in, it's running at 3% of CPU, and you're like, dude, do you really need this? And they're like, I don't know, but it works.
We've got some advisors and things. So now, if you log in and that server's not being used very much, you get you have to log into the portal, but you will get a thing that says maybe this you could shut this down, or maybe you need to redo this. Do you know?
Oh yeah, that's improved a lot. Yeah, over the last 3 years or so, the kind of level of help it gives you, it's a bit like having a nag at home. Have you left the lights on?
It's slightly embarrassing, but and this was before I worked for Microsoft. But how long did it take to have an auto shutdown on a VM?
Yeah. Oh, that feature. Well, there must have been a point where someone wrote that feature and some product manager somewhere said, if you release that feature, it's going to lose us billions.
Yeah. Well, the advisors that advise you to save money and to run stuff at a lower spec and shut stuff down, you're bound to lose money because people are going to take that advice and they're going to run less. But, but you actually want them to be spending that money in a wise way, because then, when they're using the service again, they're not going to feel hard done by that they've spent however many grand on a server that does absolutely nothing and wasted money.
Yeah, that's pretty sort of sickening, just sort of money in the bin.
Yeah, who hasn't started an Azure SQL data warehouse and left it running all weekend?
Oh yeah. There's been so many horror stories in the sort of MVP of guys who've done like a demo on the Friday and then they've come into work on the Monday and they've sort of chalked up a couple of grand or something.
Oh yes. That happened I shut my machine auto shuts down just using a script, but I had some job running that was collecting data like performance metrics. And then I looked at my Azure usage, which is normally only a couple £100 a month.
Yeah.
And it was like 800 quid, and I was only like halfway through the month. I was thinking, what? And I looked at the prediction, it was like $3,000. Started sweating, and oh my God, what have I done?
Yeah, that sort of cold realization that there's a link somewhere. Yeah. We've all done it, I'm sure. Like, yeah.
I haven't asked you any sensible questions.
But we chatted a bit about some sequel-y type stuff, right?
Yeah. So, what's your favourite cheese?
Favorite cheese? Well, as I mentioned earlier,
oh look,
I'm fed up with cheese at the moment. Probably a blue smelly one. But I can tell you the cheese that I hate the most, which is mild orange cheddar grated that's made with offcuts.
Made with offcuts?
Yeah. Because I've just spent 3 months, I kid you not, I'm sure the quote was it'll take a week or two, to write a seemingly simple Power BI model to calculate cheese price variations. And the one thing that messes with me is these stupid offcuts that they keep on pouring into manufacturers to basically make up cheese components. And I've got to track all of the offcuts from where they started to where they ended up in order to calculate how much it costs. And it's incredibly difficult. I spent 3 months calculating cheese prices, for God's sake, right?
You must know so much about cheese and cheese prices.
Apparently there's one place that I read in Italy that started accepting cheese as a currency because they were sort of worried about gold, right? But if you've ever been involved in stock control kind of systems, cheese is the worst ever because you put an item of cheese into the stock and another item comes out because it's not the same cheese. It's now a mature cheese on the way out and it's worth more.
Oh,
so imagine having a database where all of your product codes magically change every now and then.
Yeah, but that's not unreasonable. I worked on a retail system, so we had to deal with future price changes. So you would put them in, so kind of on a certain date in the future, the price of beans was going to change, and then the system would then go overnight and then update the price of beans, and But yeah, I guess it's similar to that. But do you lose weight if you leave cheese? Does it change weight over a period of time?
Oh yeah, and also in the manufacturing, right? You could get like 2 tons going into the machine, and then they weigh up all the offcuts and all the finished goods, and there's 1.9 tons coming out. So like, has someone on the production line eaten point kind of 1 of a ton of cheese somewhere, or what happened to it? Like, it's just part of the manufacturing sort of processes. Things kind of change weight.
How do they change weight?
I don't know if it's part of the cutting sort of process, or bits of cheese get stuck on the machinery or whatever. But yeah, you do get a variation. But it was just tracing cheese and just driving me nuts. I actually calculated that if we took all of the orders placed and every possible combination of how cheese could go between the orders, for having 100,000 orders would have a 3 billion row set.
God, all right.
So so actually I'm sick of cheese now.
Well, if you ever need a cheese expert, then you are the man to come and talk to. But
well, apparently it's great kind of money as a cheese. One of the best kind of monies in the industry is a cheese grader. So what you do is you got to have a good kind of nose to be able to sniff it. Say, tiny piece of this in this. This is extra strong. And finding those expert sort of people is really hard,
Okay, that's one of the things I like about our job is that we might be working on databases or working on programs or tech or servers or, tables, rows. Is actually learning about different industries.
Yeah. Like you get to work in different sort of verticals. I mean, you find your favourite ones as well, and there's ones that you just do every time. That's actually why I joined kind of Microsoft, I think, because I was a database developer, but I'd written 20 stock control systems back to back, and I was like, if I write one more fucking stock control system, I'm going to shoot myself, right? So then I was like, I'll join Microsoft, and I won't have to write another stock control system.
But don't tell me the first project you worked on at Microsoft was a stock control system.
It had a tiny bit of stock, but actually it was a retail chain. So, well, there were various bits and pieces. Obviously, being MCS, it was a bit like, a bit sort of bitty. But the first big project was actually a retail chain. Thankfully, it was mainly sales.
I can see little people.
That's Calvin. Hey, Calvin.
He's not going to whack you with his sword.
No, I'm just pleased he didn't bring his kind of sword in. Yeah, he's been known to sort of do that,
Is in the mirror, I can see either that's a flat screen TV on the wall or a piece of art.
That is a TV with hold on, with the security cameras on, so I can watch all the kids while I'm working.
Do you live in a particularly rough area?
No. Well, I hope not. But no, we just like to keep our eye on there. Oh, Calvin's got his sword now. Calvin, down, boy, down.
You're gonna get whacked on the back of the head.
Yeah. It has been known. Yeah.
So
not particularly rough or anything, but we like to keep tabs on the kids there now.
Okay, I guess
some sword off now.
you put it in for one reason, and then it works.
Yeah.
So it's getting actually quite late. We've been talking for quite a while now. So
all right. You're going to fire a random question, which I have no idea.
An emergency question. So this is the Richard Herring's emergency question book. And are you aware of Richard Herring?
No. Who is he?
Well, so he's a stand-up comedian.
Yeah.
Was famous a few years ago with another comedian that no one's ever heard of, some guy called Stuart Lee or something. And Richard interviews people on a podcast. So he came up with these emergency questions, so questions he would ask everybody and then put them in a book. And so I'm using that as a little game. So if people at home are watching, they can pick up their copy of emergency questions. And when Bob picks a number between 1 and 1001, they can play along and look at the question in their own book.
Okay.
Mommy told me to help you answer the book.
Calvin said he's going to help answer the question.
All right. Okay. So does Calvin want to pick the number?
Go on. Pick a number between 1 and what? Between 1 and
1001.
Pick a number between 1 and 1001. 294.
294. Any reason why that number?
Why that number? Is that the number of burpees I can do in a row? No.
Not at all.
Not at all, right?
Oh, wait, no.
No, I think you magic it up.
This is not suitable for sensitive ears. So can we pick another one?
So if I go for the one before that or the one after that?
So the one before that. Okay, all right. So it's quite a long one. What's the one after it? No, we'll do this one because I find it more entertaining. Adam and Joe, who are two comedians, did a show with the animated Star Wars figures. The Adam and Joe show.
Oh yeah.
I
haven't seen that one. Yeah.
So this was actually a question that that Richard asked Adam. Adam and Joe had a run-in with Rolf Harris. They were mildly cheeky about him and had to write him a letter of apology, and I presume it's when they worked at the BBC or something.
Right.
Now that cheekiness is the least of Mr. Harris's problems. What former enemy or rival of yours had the most agonising fall from grace? And did you find it satisfying? So,
what former enemy of mine?
Yeah.
Or what former enemy of Harris?
No. What former enemy of yours or Calvin's enemy? Because because obviously he's probably got some mortal enemies. Has had the most satisfying fall from grace.
God, I'm not sure I have. I think I'm born enough to not have that many enemies. Well, not
that many. So you have got enemies.
And not that I wish any sort of malice towards. Well, we probably crocked up about 1 million "I told you so's" to customers, which is when you tell them to not do something and they proceed on to do it anyway. And at one point, I told Carmel I was going to print some "I told you so" sort of T-shirts, and we're going to bring them in at the end of the project, right? So we've had a lot of projects where we've had run-ins with other consultancy firms who I'm not allowed to name, but usually being a small consultancy practice, you're always bashing with the big four, say, you could probably name 4 big consultancy practices off the top of your head, right?
For legal reasons, we won't, but yes.
For legal reasons, they won't. They're usually very smarmy in their sales, but they're usually staffed by sales guys and college graduates. You know, they don't have that's the misconception in the industry. They think, oh, I'll go with this really big company because they have lots of experts. They don't have any experts, because if they had any experts, they probably would have left and set up their own company. Right? So we have lots of run-ins where we say it should be done this way, and the big consultancy firms says it should be done that way. And often we have to really fight because they might have a seat at the table of the CEO or something like that. So we're not as good at the sort of bending of ears as them. So it's just a wait and see, We've had lots of incidents of that where, we've had a sales pitch and they've had a sales pitch, and it's pretty satisfying when you get the final call and it's like, well, we're going to award you the contract, and you're like, oh, I wish I could phone them up and
and gloat.
And gloat, yeah. I'm not a big sort of gloater, but sort of winning a sales pitch is always, especially where there's been a bit of dirty tricks involved, always is good for gloating, I'm
going to call you a lying toe rag when you say I'm not very good at gloating. Now, I have seen this in action on a couple of times.
Oh, videos, yeah. There could be video evidence, actually, yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, of you gloating after said Jenga games.
Yeah, but in my defence, it goes the other way as well, right? I've had to lose humiliating, and and then the forfeit was usually pretty severe as well.
Now, I don't know whether I made it up in my head, but I do remember you standing on the other guy's chest as he was defeated.
Well, yeah, I mean, he kind of did the same to me. No, that was David Peter Hansen. But the worst thing that I ever did to him is he as a speaker is Mr. Prepared, right? He comes with his slide decks. His demos never fail because he's practiced them to the nth degree, right? He's got warm-up scripts. He's got standby scripts. He's got standby scripts. He's got spare laptop next to him warmed up. He's got cold laptop next to him powered down. So he can switch hot to warm to cold. I mean, he just can't stand the embarrassment of not being prepared. So I got to pick a forfeit for him in the Jenga games, and I was like, forfeit. And I was like, right, you've got to go to Sickle Bits and do a lightning talk, and I'm going to give you the topic 3 minutes before the lightning talk. His face was like, whoosh. It was fantastic.
And I
That
presume
was fun.
he did it, and he did it well.
He did. He cheated. He made a bullshit deck that could be applied to anything,
Right.
and he did it very well. Oh, yeah.
So I have asked for a session at Sequel Bits, which I didn't get.
Yeah.
To play that game. So it's basically based off a comedy game called Setlist, where the speaker stands at the front, and then in front of them, a topic appears on a screen.
Yeah.
And then they have to talk about that for a few minutes, and another topic comes up, and then they get 5 or 10 minutes to talk on these topics, and then another speaker comes on. But
that's a great idea. We did that with Buck Woody as the compere, who was fantastic, right? Thing is, we gave Buck Woody a load of questions, and he was like, "Oh, those boring." And he just made them up, and it was classic because he gets all the people lined up, and he says, "Right, now you're going to talk for 5 minutes on why no lock is a bad idea, right?" And then someone starts off, and the next person is like, "No, you're going to talk for 5 minutes on why no lock is a good idea."
You never mess with the Buck Woody, because you will regret it.
No, never met. Yeah. I wouldn't fancy going toe to toe with actually Buck. No.
Oh God, no. He's also one of these other people that's uber prepared.
Yes. Yeah, he gives the impression of being quite sort of fly by the seat of the pants, right? But yeah, secretly he goes home and prepares.
Well, have you seen his how to do a presentation? And it's just like, well, right, you've got your laptop, and well, what if there's the power dies? Right, what's your alternative? Have you got a copy on a USB stick? Do you can borrow someone else's laptop? Have you got a copy? What if that USB stick dies? Have you got a copy in the cloud? Have you got a printed copy? I've got a printed copy in my bag, but he didn't show us a printed copy. I think it was a lie.
Yeah.
But
well, see, he's got the advantage though of he presents a lot. So if you make up a session and you're going to deliver it more, it's easy to be prepared. But a lot more of us, I class myself in the amateur category, like as in I do a couple. Like I'm a professional consultant, but speaker-wise, I only do a few events. So I don't. If I make up sort of content, it takes me ages, and I get to talk about it like once or twice.
Yeah, I mean it's the same thing for most of us. Well, apart from there are a few people that have got these sessions, and I used to think that he's such a cheat. He's doing that session all the time, and then you go, wait a minute.
That's a great idea.
That's the best idea in the world.
Yeah, there's certain sessions, like if you would talk on index B trees, right? I mean, SQL 2000 content would have had the same, structure. So there's certain things that you can get to, but of course, everyone likes to talk about the sexy new stuff. And then if you're doing any talk on Azure, you are hosed, because if the product names haven't changed, all the features have changed between your talk, right?
Oh yeah. I did a talk on Azure when it was Azure ML the first time before. What did they call it? The first time they did it, some features didn't work in certain browsers, and some stuff changed. Like the day before the demo and stuff, and then stuff doesn't work, and then you're in front of a room of people sweating.
Yeah, that certainly had a confusing roadmap, and they're like, "We're going to have a GUI. We're not going to have a GUI.
Yeah. We're going to have this separate tool set. Oh, no, we're going to get rid of that now. And we're going to then go back to it all being cloud-based."
Yeah, I think the worst one I had, when I don't remember myself and Carmel went over to do a talk on the Irish economic crisis at BITS.
Oh, yeah.
And we decided in our wisdom to do it all in version 1 of Power BI Q&A. And the plan was that Carmel would just talk like a narrative, and I'd be in the background taking some of the questions and keying them into Q&A, and it would render like the plots, the charts, and the data visualizations. So she'd be like, Ireland has a relatively large GDP, and I would go like show Irish GDP compared to other countries in Europe, and a map would come up, and Ireland would come up, and it'd be really cool. We went out and got skinned on the Friday, as you do at Sickle Bits. Being one of the uber prepared people drunk, I was like, I'll just do a quick warm up of the things, and someone had done an update of the cloud service and added 40 new keywords, and none of our sentences worked anymore.
I remember.
So we had all these keywords in our model that if you typed in a question that had that keyword, it was now a reserved word, and it didn't work at all. So we had to, at 2:00 in the morning, and we were on at like 10. We had to redo the whole model, find all the keywords, because they have this sneaky thing at Azure where they publish it, but the release notes don't always come out at the same time of publishing. And this was one of those episodes, right? So it was, that was one of the most sweaty ones we've ever.
That was really good. I think I was in the audience for that. I remember you were at the side being Carmel's developer.
Yeah, I was
She was the PM.
The coin we used is sort of data monkey. You know,
Yeah.
I was the monkey in the corner who just sort of made it happen. You know.
I think your family's getting a bit itchy because you promised them to play a
You
game.
ready for Gloomhaven?
Yes.
That's it.
Yes.
All right. Well, the final question is, who should I talk to next? And I think
Can I nominate one or two?
you can nominate two.
Okay.
You're Bob frickin' Duffy.
What's that?
You're Bob frickin' Duffy. You can nominate two.
Two. There we go. Who do I nominate? I will go with, if you want some more Irish people, I would definitely go for Ben Watt and Mark Hayes. Ben, go on, hit the button. Yes, I would go for Ben Watt and Mark Hayes. Ben has got that golden voice, you know, sounds fantastic on the radio, even if I do say so myself. And Mark, a character of a lifetime, right? You know, just don't let him kind of near any of your money, right?
All right. All right. That's the story. All right. I'll get that later. All right.
Okay.
Well, thank you
Cool.
for your time. You've
That's
been
great.
wonderful.
Thanks,
And
Cheers.
see you when we're next around. All right. Bye.
Yep.
Love you.
Thanks.